Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Israel is bracing itself for a possible war. The IDF has called up reserve forces and is bolstering its defenses on the northern border. The heightened tension with Syria and the talk of a possible U.S. military attack on the warring country has caused Israel to take precautions. Both Iran and Syria have repeatedly threatened to strike Israel if the United States intervenes in the Syrian conflict, where Bashar al-Assad has used chemical weapons against his own people. An Iron Dome anti-missile system was deployed in Tel Aviv, and residents of the Jewish state have rushed to pick up their gas masks and ready their bomb shelters in case of an attack on Israel.
A recent poll reflects that 46% of Israeli Jews believe that Assad will strike Israel if the United States takes military action against Syria, while 40% of Israeli Arabs believe that the besieged president will make good on his threat. The survey was conducted by the Israeli Democracy Institute at Tel Aviv University.
The United States has released a report stating that the Obama administration had evidence that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad was preparing to use chemical weapons against his own people 3 days in advance. On August 21st, 1,429 people, including 426 children, were killed by a chemical attack in Syria. Experts estimate that the death toll will rise as hundreds of people are sick from the nerve agent, most likely sarin gas. Last week, the Obama administration released a report stating that in the 3 days prior to the attack, we collected streams of human signals and geospatial intelligence that revealed regime activities that we assessed were associated with preparations for a chemical weapons attack. Egypt will likely put ousted President Mohamed Morsi on trial for incitement of violence. Egypt's top prosecutor recommended that Morsi and 14 of his fellow Muslim Brotherhood members face trial in a criminal court for committing acts of violence and inciting the murder of at least 10 people. An Egyptian state news agency released a report stating that Morsi ordered the Egyptian Revolutionary Guard and the Minister of Police to disperse a peaceful sit-in at the presidential palace on December 4th. Both refused, so Morsi called on his Islamic supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood to forcefully break up the protest. The bloodbath that ensued left at least 10 people dead. This incident sparked the riots that eventually led to Morsi's arrest. Egypt has been reeling in violence since Morsi was ousted. The Christian community of Egypt is in mourning, having suffered heavy losses in the aftermath. Erin Viner has more on that story.
Violence against the Christian community is continuing in Egypt, where members of the Muslim Brotherhood have been systematically murdering Christians and destroying their houses of worship. To date, 82 churches have been burned, and dozens of Christians have been killed in the streets of the Arab Republic. Reporting on the issue has largely been neglected by local media outlets, which are instead focusing on the overall violence raging across Egypt.
Israeli security services have foiled a terrorist attack planned to take place during the high holidays. According to a statement released by the Shin Bet security service, members of Hamas were in the final planning stages of a major terrorist attack on Jerusalem's Mamilla Mall. The investigation led authorities to an explosives lab in Ramallah and to 2 suspects who were planning to detonate the bomb during the high holy days when the popular location would be packed with visitors. The The statement said that during questioning, members of the terror cell mentioned other plans to carry out additional attacks, including harming IDF soldiers by booby-trapping homes in Ramallah and attempts to acquire handguns to fire on IDF soldiers at the Hizmi checkpoint northeast of Jerusalem.
Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas has announced that Palestinians will vote on any peace accord that he forges with Israel. Speaking at the opening event of the Fatah Revolutionary Council in Ramallah, Abbas said that the issue of peace with Israel will be put to a public referendum. The rival Palestinian Hamas terror organization, which controls the densely populated Gaza Strip, continues to oppose Abbas and his Fatah party, leading analysts to speculate over whether Abbas has the authority to negotiate on behalf of the Palestinian people when a large percentage of the population is loyal to his opponents. As we reported last week, Hamas officials have repeatedly stated that they will oppose any peace deal formed by Abbas and Israel.
Israeli Aerospace Industries has successfully launched its largest and most sophisticated communication satellite. The Amos 4 is set to be operational within 2 months. Yaakov Peri, the Israeli Minister of Space and Technology, said this project is critical to Israel's security. He said the Israeli Space Agency is expanding its activity substantially, and the launching of this satellite is another landmark in the course the State of Israel has embarked on, becoming one of the top 5 countries in the field. He went on to say that the successful launch proves once more that for Israeli technology, the sky is no longer the limit. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed his pride to the Israeli cabinet. He said, "I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Israel Aerospace Industries and Spacecom Satellite Communications Limited for the successful launch of the Amos 4 satellite."
More than 3,300 Israeli high school graduates have begun preparatory programs for their compulsory military service. The Director General of one of the largest of these courses, Yossi Eldar, said that the participants in the pre-army program represent a strategic asset for the future of Israeli society, and that the primary mission is to prepare young adults to take on meaningful leadership roles in the IDF, while it is equally important that they eventually become active leaders in Israel's civil society after their national service.
As Jews around the world welcomed the new year 5,774, the State of Israel surpassed the 8 million mark. The Central Bureau of Statistics reported that Israel grew by 148,000 inhabitants over the past Jewish year. Nearly 17,000 Jews immigrated to Israel this year, and 160,749 babies were born in the Jewish state. On the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the poll reflected that there are now more than 8 million Israelis. 6.066 million Jewish Israelis make up 74% of the population of the State of Israel.
The Jewish people are preparing for the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur. Also known as the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur is marked by fasting and prayers asking for forgiveness. During the 10 days leading up to Yom Kippur, Jews repent and request absolution for any wrongdoing from others, so that by the Day of Atonement, they will be humbled to ask forgiveness from God. We at Israel Now News wish all of our viewers a very happy New Year and pray that God will protect Israel, and we encourage you to continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
This is Jerusalem, Israel's capital city. It's an ancient and modern treasure that is beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in yet another beautiful day on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Ari Briggs, International Director of Regavim. Ari, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
All right, tell our viewers a little bit about what is Regavim.
Regavim is a non-government organization, NGO, that was established in 2006 to look after the land that we understood was being stolen from underneath us by various different elements. And what we do is the research, and then we report on that research to the authorities and try and convince the authorities that they enforce the laws of the land.
Who is stealing the land in Israel, and how are they doing it?
Okay, so 93% of Israel pre-1967 is government-owned land. So the government has obviously a big job to try and look after that land because that's such a large number. And Israel is a small country which has had so many issues to deal with, really ignored that land. So you've got Arabs in the north, you've got Bedouin in the south, you've got in Yehuda and Shomron a lot of Arabs moving from Area A and Area B into Area C and taking whatever land they can get their hands on.
Why isn't the government stopping them the minute they start building these structures?
Okay, so first of all, we've got a situation where it has reached a critical mass already. There are at least 2,000 new structures built illegally in the Negev each year. Total today, you've got around 30,000 structures in Yehuda and Shomron. You've got overall in the country around 100,000 illegal structures, some of which have demolition orders on them, some of which don't. That is a number that just can't be dealt with on a one-by-one basis. We saw 2 weeks ago in Wadi Ara a house that was knocked down. It received its demolition order 37 years ago. For 35 years it was ignored. Every time the police wanted to go in there, ordered by the courts, there was a stop order on it because the owner went to court. Time after time after time it was stopped. In the end it was destroyed, demolished 2 weeks ago after Regavim got involved and pushed for 2 years to get it demolished. And 1,500 people came out and rioted. They closed down the schools for a day. They closed down all commercial business activities for 2 days. This is what happens when you try and demolish one house. Can you imagine trying to do it with this large number that really exists here in Israel?
But it seems like there's two laws. There's a law for Jewish citizens and there's a law for everyone else. Because if I were to build a balcony on my house illegally, they would tear it down in a minute.
Yeah.
How is that possible in the Jewish state of Israel?
Yeah, so Josh, don't get me wrong. There are Jews that will try and build a patio, a balcony, add something onto their house, but pretty much immediately they'll get a letter from the local council telling them that we've caught you doing something illegal. We're telling you to knock it down as soon as possible. We're fining you a significant fine, and because you've done something illegally, we're going to send over the inspectors to check the rest of your place to see what else you've done illegally. Now that happens immediately, and that letter has a large effect on the Jewish population in this country. They will immediately pull back, start fixing things up. They don't want to be caught. They don't want to have the fine. They don't want to have to go to court and have potential charges drawn against them. The difference is, with the Arab population, they're already passé to those type of letters. They don't mean anything to them, and they know the law is not going to be enforced against them.
Why isn't the law enforced against them?
Okay, so we have a situation in Israel where you've got a system. While, let's say, we were building a country, at the same time there was the academia, the bureaucracy, government bureaucracy, and the court system was taken over by this liberal environment that had this belief that the minorities in this country were badly done by, because this was going to be a Jewish country and building a fine Jewish country here, but you've also, of course, full rights for minorities are protected and enforced, but they're given a freeway. They're given a, let's say, get out of jail free pass in terms of law enforcement. First of all, there's this liberal environment. We don't want to enforce it too much because they've had a tough time. The second thing is, when they did try to enforce the law, they were faced with violence. They were faced, as I mentioned, in Wadi Ara just 2 weeks ago with 1,500 people on the street demonstrating against the demolition of a totally illegal building that was classed illegal 37 years ago, and each and every court case since then. So people just back off. Law enforcement backs up. The police station head backs off. The head of the regional police backs off. The government backs off because they don't want these images getting out and the pressure being applied from overseas. Look what you're doing to your poor minorities.
You guys have been instrumental in trying to push a law legislation in the Knesset, in the Parliament of Israel, to try to stop this illegal activity. Tell us a little bit about the law.
We've been involved in a lot of laws, Josh. This recent one was trying to settle the Bedouin in the Negev, get them off illegally grabbed land into developed areas, and the government is planning to put billions of shekels into developing the Negev to raise the socioeconomic status of the Bedouin there. But the first thing to do, to offer the services, to give the services that every citizen in our state expects, the water, the sewerage, electricity, the schooling, the hospitals, they need to be in an area that this can be offered. And this law we've been involved in. We're trying to get some amendments put in as well, because it doesn't have the law enforcement, doesn't have the teeth to actually enforce what it's trying to achieve, which is to redevelop the area, make sure the Bedouin are getting those services, and offering all 100% of those Bedouin with the services they expect from a Western society.
All right, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Josh, what we know is that what people see overseas on television when they hear about Israel on the general media, not on your show, Josh, but on the general media, is everything bad about Israel. What people need to understand, literally, it is the opposite of what they're hearing. We're trying to build a beautiful, healthy country that respects all its citizens. And to do that, we need to enforce laws. We need to have equal application of the law for every single person in the country. And that's what we're pushing for. And we hope that your viewing audience understands that that's what it's about, is applying the law equally. So please take a look at our website, see what we're doing, follow us up on Facebook, and things should go well.
Thank you, Ari, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
More than 1 million Jewish children have been killed by abortion in Israel since 1948. Israel is currently engaged in a demographic war for its very survival as a Jewish state. Imagine what a difference 1 million more Jews would have made for Israel. Friends of Efrat saves the lives of thousands of children every year by providing support to pregnant women in distress. Since 1977, Efrat has saved over 30,000 lives and is recognized as a world leader in preventing abortions. You can play a major role in Israel's survival now by helping us save Israel's unborn children.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
We caught up with this group of American water experts on the outskirts of a Bedouin village just north of Beersheba. They were closely examining the flow of sewage in a river that flows from the Palestinian town of Hebron into the northern Negev. Professor Clive Lipchin of the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies told the visitors that a plan is being developed to bring the sides together to treat the polluted water for the benefit of all.
A watershed approach which includes everybody in the river, whether it be Israeli or Palestinian, Jewish or Arab, Bedouin and so forth, to engage together, because we're all part of the system and we all have either to benefit from what's going on or to be negatively impacted.
The group, which included several high-ranking US federal and Arizona state officials, were in Israel to study Israeli methods of water management.
There's an awful lot that people from Arizona can learn from Israel. For example, we have issues of dry rivers that only flow when it's raining and flooding, or rivers that all they have in them might be treated wastewater. We have dry areas, very little rain. And so looking at how wastewater is treated, stored, reused, that's something we can learn a lot about.
Arizona, which is home to 6 million people, is almost totally dependent on the Colorado River for its water supply. It's a mighty river which is nevertheless quickly drying up. To add to the problem, cities in Arizona, such as Tucson and Phoenix, rank among the fastest growing population centers in the United States.
We just finished a 2-year-long process, the Water Resources Development Commission, where we looked at existing supply and future demands, and there's a great shortage of water in Arizona.
The visitors were looking for solutions to avoid the risk of future catastrophe brought on by severe water shortage. During their 10-day tour, they visited Israel's national water carrier and a desalination plant. They were surprised to hear that 90% of Israel's agricultural produce is watered by drip irrigation, as opposed to 5% in the United States. And they studied Israeli methods of treating wastewater, which enables almost all of the country's sewage to be recycled and reused for agricultural irrigation. The visitors were clearly impressed by what they saw. One of the most enthusiastic participants of the tour was Clarksdale Mayor Doug van Gussig.
You know, what I've learned is that almost anything is possible. What I see in Israel is that people are doing projects that we could never do in the United States right now for either political or financial or social or cultural reasons. They become very difficult, and I shouldn't say never, because what I learned in Israel is that you can do these things and that it's important that we do them.
The tour ended with a typical Israeli tree planting ceremony.
There's plenty of moisture down there, isn't there?
Anywhere else, this would be a vacation by a lake. But this is the Sea of Galilee. The wonders of Israel are beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
There is a great need in Israel today, whether it's Holocaust survivors, youth at risk, or new immigrants. Our vision is to build relationships, to foster reconciliation, and to reach out with God's love by responding to the social needs that come across our desk every single day. Through the projects that we do, we hope to provide a better future for the people of Israel and to reach out with hope to those who need it most.
Already for more than 30 years, the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem, is reaching out all over the land, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, to reach those people that are in need. And these people are, of course, the Jewish people who live in this land. But we've also been reaching out to the Christian Arab, to the Muslims, to the Bedouin, and to the Druze that are part of the population of Israel. The ICJ has the incredible privilege to be part in the establishment and also the ongoing expansion of the assisted living community for Holocaust survivors in Haifa. Not only find aging survivors a home, but the Christian support and involvement has touched their lives deeply and is giving them new hope.
I'm very happy when I see people who come, Christians from around the world who come to visit us. They're interested in how we live and they help us. I'm very happy when I see them. It reminds me of my youth. It does something good to my soul. It makes me very happy and I appreciate those who come. They truly deserve a thank you from the Jewish people to know that there are still good people in the world.
We've been engaged in educational programs and vocational training that enables young people, women, and minorities to get the tools that they need to have a better future and to break out of the cycle of poverty.
Do you know what does it mean to be an educated person in the Ethiopian community? It's a big professor. They saw their expectation is they can change their whole life. Here, we come here, the reality is different. You have to be educated one, to manage your family and to grow your children, to be successful, to keep the country.
I want to study, not all the time, but I want to get to the stage where I know everything. And there is no such stage.
We've been excited to reach out to the children of Israel through various projects. 2 of them were children's homes, where the kids who live in these homes have been removed from their own families for various reasons. Could be because they're orphaned, or they went through some sort of trauma, or other family difficulties. But the first home, the dormitories were in very, very bad disrepair, and we were able to remodel this home and make it a wonderful living space for the children. And in the other, the children had no place to play, and so we were able to put in a new playground for them and help them just rediscover the joys of their childhood.
You just learned about some of the projects the International Christian Embassy is carrying out here in Israel. And I want to personally invite you to partner with the Christian Embassy to bless the Jewish people like never before. We are your embassy here in Jerusalem, and may the Lord bless you greatly out of Zion.
Those who dreamed about the Jewish state, those who wrought the historical miracle and against all odds established a state, those who arrived in the homeland to their new home, those who propelled Israel forward step after step.
I have no doubt that this expanded partnership with our many Christian supporters will greatly strengthen Israel in the years ahead. And I want to thank you all for being part of that historic effort and that historic partnership. May God bless all of Israel's friends throughout the world. May God bless you.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all your Israel updates.